I'm just saying, if the men who edited the Torah put as much effort into finding the clit as they did in editing out virtually all mention of the Israelite fertility goddess Asherah, orgasm gap wouldn't be a thing. Another week, another riveting Torah portion. We are balls deep in Bamidbar. This week I'm talking about Parshat Korach. Let's get into it. Chapter 16. Right off the heels of last chapter, when God smites a lot of Israelites to teach them a lesson about rebellion, Korach the rebel has a bone to pick with Moses and Aaron. So Korach, who is a Levite, takes 2 sons of Reuben and 250 other Israelites to give them a piece of their mind. You've gone too far, dude. If God said that the entire nation of Israel is holy, then what makes you holier than all thou? And why do Kohanim get special privileges in the temple? Pause for some context. The Torah teaches us to be KADOSH, which means to be holy. And to be holy, we have to have some self-restraint from pleasure and indulgences. Because too much of a good thing ain't good. Kind of like toxic dick. Okay, resume. Upon hearing this, Moses falls on his face. Okay, tomorrow morning, God is going to pick who is the holiest of all holies. And Korach, tomorrow you're gonna light all the incense and shit because you still have your Levite duties. Are you really so petty? God literally made you holier than the rest of the nation by allowing you to do the temple chores. It's a slippery slope, my dude. What are you gonna want next? The priesthood? You're literally crucifying my brother over God's will. Aaron is just a dude, okay? Get over it. So now those 2 sons from the tribe of Reuben put out their own diss track. First of all, allowing us to do temple chores. Do you even hear yourself? Sweetheart, that is not a blessing. We're the temple bitch boys. Second of all, is it not enough that you literally took us away from the land of milk and honey only for us to die in the wilderness? I mean, even if you do somehow get us to Israel, was it really worth killing all those people? You're a tyrant dictator and we're over it. Moses quickly turns to God and he's like, dude, I'm so sorry. Please don't listen to them. And tomorrow when they do the offerings, just don't accept them. God is pissed. And when Korach and all the Israelites gather at the tent of the meeting at the OHEL Moed, God appears to Moses and Aaron and he's like, stand back, y'all. I'm about to fuck these bitches up. And Moses and Aaron are like, ixnay on the kill nay. Do you really have to kill all of them for one man's sin? And God's like, okay, fine. Just tell everybody to run away from the rebels. Moses walks over to Korach and the 2 sons of Reuben. He points to them and they're like, don't you fucking point at me. Moses tells all the Israelites, stay away from these wicked men and their cooties. So the rebels and their wives and their little kids stand outside of their tent. And Moses says to the Israelites, in about 2 minutes, they're all gonna be dead. If they die by natural causes, you'll know that I'm full of shit. Okay? If they die by supernatural causes, however, something never seen before and God splits open the earth and swallows all the rebels into SHEOL, maybe it'll get through your thick-skinned heads that I am simply a messenger of God and it is He who has all the power. He's doing all the murdering, not me. Leave me the fuck alone, please. Side note about SHEOL. SHEOL is the last dimension in Jewish hell. When the Torah was translated into Greek for the first time, SHEOL was translated as Hades. In Christianity, Hades is both the devil and the underworld. Whereas in Judaism, we don't have a Hades, just an underworld, which makes us kind of cool. So the earth begins to shake. The Israelites are freaking out. They're like, God's gonna kill us all, we better run away. So they run away. The earth splits open, swallows Korach and the 2 sons of Reuben and their little babies. And the text says that they were lost from the congregation. The sages say that anybody who attacks the Torah gets no share of Israel because the Israelites all got a little section of Israel. Now the text says that they died in this world and lost their share to explain the severity of their punishment. Apparently, God can revive the dead. If these rebels are revived, they do have the right to re-enter their old bodies, even though they're probably gross and old, but they aren't allowed that share of Israel. After the earth swallows up a ton of the rebels, God blew a gust of wind so that the fire from the incense that the Levites lit killed 250 more Israelites. That was a really rough chapter. And now we're moving on. Chapter 17. God tells Moses to tell Aaron's son Eliezer to collect the plates that the Levites used to light the incense and make something cool for the altar. This would serve as a warning to the Israelites to not fuck with God. God might have moved on, but the Israelites did not. A bunch of their people were just murdered for protesting authority. Moses and Aaron, you're killing the Lord's people. Moses and Aaron are like, not this again. They're like, talk to the hand. They turn to the OHEL Moed. God suddenly appears in a cloud and he's like, I'm gonna fuck them up, I swear. Moses turns to Aaron and he's like, dude, God is like blackout angry right now. The plague has begun. Quickly go light the incense to make expiation for everybody who has sinned. Here's a little backstory. The Israelites were starting to think that the incense was actually a poison. So God just wanted to show everybody that the incense could actually be a source of healing and it wasn't all just bad. Aaron is in the trenches. He stands between the angel of death and the Israelites who are getting plagued. And the angel of death is like, dude, what are you doing? God told me that I have to kill these people. And Aaron is like, trust me, God wants me to save everyone. What's interesting here is that while Moses is able to negotiate with God, the authority, these protesters are not. During the current political climate, when Americans are protesting the streets against police brutality, this hits really close to home. Is this supposed to teach us that we're not allowed to stand up for what we believe in? No, the rabbis will say. Yes, you should stand up for your convictions, but don't let greed get the best of you like Korach. Under the guise of seeking justice for his nation, he was really just power hungry. So anyway, back to the story. God tells Moses to get one staff from each of the 12 tribes of Israel and inscribe the leaders' names on each staff. And in the morning, the staff that blossomed would reveal the leader of the nation of Israel. It's Aaron's staff that sprouts with blossoms and almonds. Moses puts the staff at the OHEL Moed as a lesson to the rebels that if they talk smack, they're gonna die. And the Israelites are like, we all talk smack though, we have to revisit Aaron's staff. It sprouted with beautiful flowers and almonds, and this was like a stylized tree. This isn't mentioned anywhere else in the Torah, so it's very significant. What is described in the Torah are these Asherah poles, which are for the Israelites' ancient fertility goddess Asherah. Later on in the Torah, we learn stories about God commanding people to strike down these Asherah pillars because God hates women, duh. The thing is that the Asherah pole and Aaron's staff are probably the same. Now, why would a symbol of priesthood represent a symbol that God so badly wanted to destroy? The Torah has a lot of different editors from different eras, and all the literature about the priests, Aaron and his sons, unlike other literature, never ever condemns Asherah. Why? Perhaps they saw Asherah as helping the priesthood. Now there's another argument that maybe they just were really bad at editing Asherah out and couldn't. Chapter 18. The dust has settled, sort of, I think. This is the first time the text will say that God spoke to Aaron, but the sages believe God wanted the Israelites to adhere to this new rule that it is Aaron who leads the nation. So to remove any confusion, the Torah says God spoke to Aaron. I think that's a really bullshit argument because there's a lot of confusing passages in the Torah and I'm just not buying that. So anyway, God says to Aaron, you and your kids are going to be the priesthood. And instead of giving you a portion of Israel, you get a portion of my heart. I'm just kidding. I am going to give you 1/10 of all the tithe gifts. The Levites, they're going to serve you. And then there's some other stuff in this parsha which I don't care to talk about. Next week is a double parsha, Chukat Balak. Two very iconic biblical figures die in this parsha. And I'm not going to tell you who to keep you on your toes. Stay golden, Horny Shabbat Instagram, and I shall see you next week.